everyone, my name is Agnes Fries and I'm the creator of an online design tool called the Grid Designer. The Grid Designer is used to create color charts for multiple crafts that includes cross stitch, latch hook, crochet, knitting, corner to corner crochet, and basically any craft where you need to create a grid-based color chart. In this video, I'm going to show you how to customize my children's name rug uh, using the Grid Designer. First of all, I want to take you to the blog post that my name rug is on. If you go to freezeworks.com, this is just freese-works.com, then you get to the home page here. If you click on Get Started, that will take you to my first blog post. And from there, if we search for name rug, we can get to this children's name rug posting. So I'm going to click on the picture here. That'll take me to the post. Now this post shows you how to create this latch hook rug. It talks both about latch hooking and also about how I created the pattern in Grid Designer. But the pattern, once I created it, is now, I can now share it with you. And if you want to modify it, you can take this particular pattern and you can change the name in it. You could change the colors. You can change the palette that it's using. Right now it's using Hirschner's pre-cut rug yarn, and you could change it to use Mary Maxim rug yarn or your own yarn, whatever it is that you want to do. So let's click here to open the Grid Designer project that I've shared. Okay, so this takes us to an HTML page here. We can load project either by clicking on the picture or by clicking on the load project link. So that'll open the Grid Designer and it'll ask you if you want to load this project that's been shared. So we click load and now we have the project open in the Grid Designer. One of the first things you might want to do is go and take a look at the project information for that. You can get to that here through project info, or you can also click up here where the project name is and the size of the project. You can click on that and that will also open project info. Project info will tell you what the palette is that's used. This is Hirschner's latch hook yarn. That's the pre-cut yarn that Hirschner sells on their website. It uses a 5 mesh canvas. Its finished size, if it's on a 5 mesh canvas, is 36 inches by 13.2 inches high. And says it's a latch hook project, and it lists the colors that are used and how many cells the colors are used in. So 6,053 little pieces of yarn, of white yarn were used, and etc. So 4,627 cells of the dark cornflower, etc. But you can change all of this, including the name on the pattern. So let's close this. And the first thing that I'm going to do here is clear out this name. So we're going to do that by selecting it. I'm putting a rectangle around this selection. Okay. Anytime you click on one of these buttons that turn green, and if it's the very first time you clicked on it in the program while you're using Grid Designer, then there will be a pop-up box that comes up and tells you what to do with the mouse. It says using the mouse, drag a selection box around the cells you would like to select. Once selected, you can cut, copy, clear, or substitute colors in the selected area. You can cancel by clicking the green selection box button again. That's true for any of these buttons that turn green like this. You can clear that by just clicking on the green and turn that off if you want to. If you don't want to see these pop-ups come up, you can click on the got it, don't show me that again, and then close that dialog. Basically, what it's telling me is it's telling me what I can do with the mouse now. So I need to drag a rectangle around this. So I put the mouse down over there, drag it with the mouse down, and when I lift the mouse up, then I've got the text selected here. Now to clear that out, I'm going to click on this button down here, which says Clear All. So that clears all of the name out of there. What it does is in order to erase that, what it does is it replaces whatever you selected with the background color, which is white. That's how it erases. It replaces it with the background color. Okay, so now we want to put a new name there. Let's go over here and we're going to click on Draw Text. Draw Text also has a prompt that tells you that you need to drag a rectangular area to start as a starting place for your text. Okay, so we'll start it here. When I let the mouse up after I've drawn the original rectangle, then it will go into the text tools. And you'll see these tools change at the bottom. All the buttons will change down here at the bottom. And now we're editing this text. Okay, so I want to go in here and I'm going to make a rug for my second grandson whose name is Max. So we're going to put Max in here. And you can put in here, of course, anything that you wish. And you change the font by picking a different font here. There's lots of things that you can pick. I used Baloo, the Baloo font in my pattern, so I'm going to use that again here. And I'm going to set this to 30. So that was the size of text that I used in my original pattern. So let's do that. Now, I also when this project, as I saved it so that I would be able to the mouse would have a little bubble next to it that would display the position of the mouse. And I explained this in the other video also in terms of what these numbers mean. Basically, the numbers on the left are row positions. So notice if I bring it way up here at the top, I get 1,66. That's row 1, or 66 rows from the bottom, depending on how you count it. So 1 row from the top, 66 rows from the bottom. And if you pull it down here, it's 66 rows from the top and 1 row from the bottom. And the numbers on the right side are columns. So here is column 1, one from the left, 1 column from the left, and 180 from the right. 1 column from the right and 180 from the left. So it's 180, comma 1. These numbers are really useful in finding the center of things. So when you've got the numbers basically as close together as they can get, so for instance, if you look at the row numbers, which are 33, 34, this is finding the center of the pattern. So that's where the center is in the pattern when the numbers are closest together. And when I select this text area and start to move it, I will get numbers on the upper right and the lower left corner. So I'm going to look now at the column numbers. So notice on the bottom left corner, it's 48, 133. And on the upper right corner, it's 128, 53. So it's the 53 and the 48 that are important here. This is 53. The edge of this rectangle on the right side is 53 spaces from the right. And on the left side, it is 48 spaces from the left. And what we want to do is make those numbers the same or as close to the same as we can get. So if I move it over a couple, now I've got 50 on the left side and 51 on the right side. Okay, and if I move it one more, I'm going to get 51 on the left side and 50 on the right side because I have an even number of cells and an odd number in the number of cells in the text rectangle that's in the center. So this is about as close as we're going to get in terms of centering it in terms of right to left. Now I'm going to look. Now when we draw text, the upper portion, there's a little extra space here in the rectangle, a little extra space there, and that's to accommodate things in the font that are taller or lowercase letters that go below it. And so the text box will always be a little bit bigger than the actual text that you're actually putting onto the screen. So in order to center it top to bottom, I want to put my mouse here on the top of this and look at the row numbers. If I look at the left numbers, this top of this M is 20 cells from the top, 20 spaces from the top. And if I go down to the bottom of the M, I can see that the bottom of the M is 24 spaces from the bottom. So I've got it farther up than down. So I need to move it down a couple of spaces. And now I've got 22 from the bottom. And I've got 22 from the top. So I have centered this, just the text, the blue text inside is now centered between the top and the bottom of the pattern. Okay, so to apply this now, we simply go down here and click on the Apply Text to Grid button, and that applies what was on the floating rectangle. It applies that to the actual grid so that it's now on your pattern. Now I've made some changes here, so maybe it's a good idea to save this. When you pick up my shared pattern, it is not automatically saved for you. So we'll do a save here, and I'm going to say Max Rug. There might already be one in there named that, so I'm going to name it 2, Max Rug 2. Okay, now what we want to do is color the letters. So in the original pattern, I had the letters colored all something different. Of course, when you're modifying it and customizing it for yourself, you may want all the letters to be the same. You may want it that way. But the way that I want to make it consistent for me so that it looks like my other grandson's rug. So let's put our labels on. We're going to set our foreground color to a bright red. Let me find it here. There it is, bright red. And then we're going to use this fill bucket down here. So I'm going to click on this fill tool. Since it's one of these buttons that turn green, you get a little pop-up that tells you what to do next. Basically, it's going to tell me to click on an area to color it that color. So I'm going to click here with my left mouse button. I now have a red M. I'm going to make a yellow A, and we'll do a medium aqua on the X. Those are all colors that I used in the original pattern. So that I think will look good. Now I also edged the letters with the same color that I used on the outside. So let's do that. To do that, we need a different tool down here. I clicked on this button here with the down arrow, and a little pop-up comes up, and I pick Outline Area. Okay, and this tells me to click on an area on the grid, and it will draw an outline around the outside of it. Okay, now I need to pick my color that I want to go around, and I want to pick the same blue that I had here. So I'm going to click on this checkbox that says Show Used. All right, and that will reduce the list of colors to only those things that I'm currently using in my project. And that makes it easier for me to pick the dark blue that I need, because there are other dark blues in there. In order to pick the one that I'm using, it's easiest to do it that way. So now that is set as the foreground color, and my tool is set to the outline area. So now, another thing that's important is that this line width over here will affect the thickness of the outline that gets placed on around the letters. So right now it's just set to 1, which is about right for what the size of these letters. So I'm going to click here to put that blue there. I click once on the A, once on the X, and now I've got everything all surrounded with a nice blue outline. Okay, so that's it. And if I want to turn my tool off, then I just click on it again and it goes off. So now I say project save, and the next time when I save it, it will save simply to the same project name that I had before. And you can always see the project name up here. This is Max Rug 2. And if you want to see project info, just click on that and you can get the project info for what you're doing. Okay, now suppose you don't really want these colors and you want to actually substitute and maybe play with the colors and do something else. Or maybe got a girl's name and you'd like to have some, different um, different colors in your rug. So there's a color. Let me show this again. There, up here on the top toolbar is a substitute colors button. And this is what you click on if you want to just substitute different colors in the rug. So it shows you a little preview of what you're looking at. And you can, and first of all, and down here there's a list of these colors, and each one of these colors can be substituted with some other color. You can pick a different color for that, and the picture up here will update so that you can see what that kind of looks like. And when you've got it the way you want, you click on Convert Pattern, and then your pattern will have those changes in it. Okay, so suppose that I did not want the yellow. We'll go in here and let's pick something else. Let's pick kind of an orangey color. Maybe we'll go and pick, kind of sticking with still the bright colors. Maybe we'll put an orange in there. Okay, and that will substitute it. If I click Convert Pattern, then that's what my pattern is going to look like. I'll have that color substituted. If I want this to scroll to a particular color, like for instance, if I wanted to change the background color, this blue here, not the blue edging color rather, then you can actually click on it up here, and down here it will scroll to that color. So if I click on the red inside the M, I get red. If I click over here to the X, I get the X color, which is the aqua. If I click on the A, I get this. Suppose I want to do this one. So if I do a substitution here, okay. Let's say we wanted to do something like we're going to make it a green. Let's make it green instead. And what if we, oh, I don't know. I don't know what I want to change really. But if we could maybe take the red and make it something else. We could try a light blue in there. If you don't like it, then just click the remove substitute and you can substitute something else in. So let's see, what would look good in there? Maybe even a lighter green or something if we've got an outside green. So then let's keep that. And let's go out here, and now we've got our pattern in it, and we've changed the colors. So we've got this. We can then save it again, and notice that when you are up here, you see the name, and if you see an asterisk next to it, that means that you need to save. So we can save it like that. And okay, so now we've got it saved with some different colors. Now another thing that you can do is this is currently using the Hirschner's palette. But let's suppose that you're used to using Mary Maxim's pre-cut yarn colors, and so you'd really rather, do Mary Maxim. So it is possible to change the palette that you're using, and the tool will let you convert your colors over to that other palette. So I go to, let me do that again. So I go to Project and then Palette. Okay, and now I get a list of all the palettes. The currently selected one here is Hirschner's Latch Hook Yarn. That's what's showing over here on the right side. So suppose we want to switch it to Mary Maxim. Oh, that's the maximum value yarn, but we're going to do the pre-cut rug yarn. Okay, so we're going to click on this, and this shows all the colors that are in the palette. Okay, now we say Use Palette. And then the program wants to know, what do you want to do with that? Do you want to clear out your whole project and use this new palette now and kind of start over again? That would be opening a new project. Or do you want to convert what you have to the new palette? And that's what you would do here. So let's say Convert Current Project. Okay, now this is very similar to the color substitution dialog that we had up earlier, except that it will tell you if the color is not something that's exactly what's found, and generally none of them will be found in general because the colors will be all a little bit different. And so it says this color orange is not found. It's not found in Mary Maxim's, so we need to substitute it if we want to use a Mary Maxim color. You can also click Add to Palette. and that will add a temporary color, a custom color that is the same as what you had before. So if you knew that you were going to use Hirschner's orange in here and Mary Maxim something else, you could click add to palette and it would simply take the Hirschner's color and add it into the Mary Maxim palette. Okay, but we're going to do a strict substitution here and we're going to stick with Mary Maxim's colors. Now, when you click the substitute, you can turn the labels on here like this, and you can also click this closest button, and that will find the color that in that palette, in Mary Maxim's palette, that is closest to the one that you are trying to substitute for. So let's pick this orangey red color. All right, and we can substitute here. If we have closest on, then it's going to tell us our closest. Otherwise, if you turn that off, then you get them in just kind of a random order. So let's pick the medium aqua. And this one is closest to light green. And the dark green here is closest to grass green. So we'll pick that. And the white is closest to this Mary Maxim white, okay, which is slightly a little bit different. Okay, so now once we've got all our substitutions in place, or if you've added those colors to your Mary Maxim palette, then this convert pattern button becomes clickable. So now we can now select that. Okay, and now we've converted it to the Mary Maxim palette. So now we have different colors in here. And if we showed the labels, let's do, oopsie, I already had the labels. And you know, we can see that those names are different, and now that's Mary Maxim's, those are Mary Maxim's colors now. Okay, so this is a way we could convert this. So you can do color substitution. So let me go back over what we did. We selected the text to clear it out, went into our text tool, which was down here, and typed in new text, selected our font and height for that text, applied it to the grid, and then we came out and we did some color substitutions, and then using the substitute colors up here, and then we actually went in here, project, palette, and we actually selected a completely different palette, and then substituted colors from that palette, converted our project to a different palette. Okay, so those are some of the things that you can do. Now, of course, you can also do things like you can change the size. Down here is an add or delete rows and columns. This will let you allow you to select columns and rows that you want to, if you want to insert columns, make it bigger or smaller or whatever, you can do it with that. You can also change the size of the grid by going in here and picking grid size. This grid size will only add or subtract rows and columns from the edges of the project, whereas this tool down here will allow you to add and delete rows and columns from anywhere, even in the middle if you wanted to delete that. Say you don't like the extra space up here at the top, you could go in there and you could select that and delete that. Okay, and so of course you could also draw additional things on your rug or whatever you'd like to have. Anyway, so I think that pretty much covers what we needed to cover here. And I'd like to ask you to please click the subscribe button at the end of this video. That would be very helpful. And thank you for listening. And I hope that you'll be back to see more videos. Thanks. Bye-bye.